and welcome to the Water STEM Live, Science of What's Possible for Kids. I think this is the 4th session. I hope you enjoy it. My name's Nick Tomczyk. I work in the Wilmslow site in the UK for Waters, and my lab assistant here is Sophie. So we're going to do some very simple experiments today actually, but they're explaining some quite interesting scientific principles, particularly mainly around gas and the air around us, and actually some maybe quite surprising things about it, such as it's much more stronger probably than you actually think. So the first one is simply we're going to start with a glass about half filled with water and some paper. Thank you, Sophie. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you how much air pressure there is around us. You maybe don't really think about it too much. You know, you can walk through it easily and we don't really notice. But actually, if you think of when you go into space, you need spacesuits because inside your body there's quite a lot of pressure as well. So the first experiment is just to show you how strong it is. So in this glass of water, obviously if I tipped it over Sophie's head, then she would get wet. But we're just using a small piece of card here. This is a normal sort of craft card. You could do the index card or anything. And what you can do is place it on top. Place your hand quite tightly, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over, okay? And the water's obviously stuck in there just now, so hand. But the surprising thing is we can actually carefully remove our hand, and the water stays in there, and the card is kept keeping the water in, okay?
You can see it seeping through the edges.
Yeah, it's starting to come, and you might see it. You might need a mop if you try this, and what you could try at home is doing this with different amounts of water and see if the different amounts of water in there have an effect on there. So what's actually going on here? So Sophie, if you could hold up the diagram for me, I'll try and explain. Yeah, so hopefully you can see that, and what you'll be able to see is this is my very simple picture of a glass with some water in it, and the pink line at the bottom here is the card, and the little dots are to represent the air and that's inside the glass and also outside the glass. Now, because of the way we set it up, the pressure of the air in the top of the glass is the same as it is outside. So when we put the card on the bottom, the air pressure is pushing the card up. Okay? If it was to move away and the water to come out, you start reducing the pressure in the top part of the glass, and so therefore you would need more energy. So actually the pressure of the air all around us is strong enough to hold that water quite tight against gravity. So actually really air pressure is probably stronger, if not as strong certainly as gravity is all around us. So that's the first thing, and you can try this. I would suggest you can do it as a trick with your friends, or you can even do it to grandparents and stuff at Christmas. Be careful, okay, and don't use hot water obviously, but just an interesting trick really, but it's not a trick, it's to do with science, okay, and that's just about the air pressure around us. Now, linked to the last session we talked about density, and we made the 6-layer density column. So air is just a bit like those liquids we made, and it has lots of different densities. Now, for the next experiment, you're going to need a grown-up assistant. I am a grown-up, so I'm okay, so I've got a child assistant, but if you're a child and you're doing this, then I would get some help from a grown-up. So what we've got is a bottle, okay? It's a normal glass bottle. Be careful a little bit, obviously, with glass as well, and a balloon. Thank you, Sophie. And what we're going to do, similarly to what we did with the glass and the card, is seal the container. Okay, so you might not be able to see this. I'm just going to put the balloon over the neck of the bottle. Okay, so it's sitting snugly. Okay, but flopping around. Okay, so that then is sealed, so it's got a particular amount of air inside this bottle, okay? And if we just left it like that, nothing would really happen. But what we're going to do is we're going to heat it up. So if you could hold that for a second, please. So I have some hot water here. Now, if you're doing this at home, you don't need to use a pan and boil the water. You can just place it in some recently boiled water and it would work just as well. It might just take a little bit longer. Okay, so I've got some hot water from our kettle. I've put it in the pan, and this is some hot water. And what we're going to do is carefully, from the top of the bottle, place the bottle into the hot water. Okay, and what we should see is the balloon start to inflate. So it does take a little while, and if you're doing it at home, if you've got a plastic bottle, just use warm water, or you can even place it on top of a heater. Okay, but you should start to be able to see that the balloon will start moving and twitching around and then eventually start inflating. Okay, so you can start to see now, or maybe you can't, but the balloon is starting to inflate. Now, what we're doing, all we're doing in this experiment is we're heating up the air. Okay, so the air inside the bottle is getting hotter. Now, all that means is that inside there, the air molecules are getting more energy. Okay, so all the air, nitrogen, and all the other gases that are in there are starting to heat up and move around much more quickly inside the bottle. Okay, so the reason that this is happening, and you can start to see the balloon still continuing to inflate. Okay, so the reason is that they're getting hotter. So while that's doing that, I'm going to ask Sophie to hold up my next diagram. Okay, so hopefully you can see that one. So that's another simple picture of a sealed container with molecules of gas. And gas molecules are always moving around, and they're jumping around all inside the bottle and all around us. But as you heat them up, as you heat them up, you can see that, if you heat them up, what you're doing is you're giving them more and more energy. And as that's happening, they're starting to push harder against all the sides of the container. So inside, they're moving around faster. And think of if you were to take a ball, if you throw it gently against a wall, it wouldn't bounce back very far. If you threw it very hard, it had lots more energy, it would bounce back further. And that's exactly what the gas molecules are doing. So hopefully you can start seeing, thank you Sophie, so we can see our balloon starting to inflate. I'm going to move it around slightly. Okay. Okay. And hopefully in a few seconds we'll start to see it really start to inflate. Okay, why is it not inflating? Okay, there we go. So as the air inside the bottle, okay, is heating up, we can see it, and actually you can start seeing the balloons really starting to heat up. And you might give it a few seconds, or a minute or so. Okay. And it's starting to inflate. And if we leave it there for a bit longer, I'll bring it around so you can see it a bit better. You can see it getting bigger and bigger. And so we'll keep heating this until it gets quite large and actually should really stand up. Okay? So you can see that, I think, that inside here. So what we had was a fixed amount of gas, a fixed amount of air in our bottle. And what's happening now is that gas is just taking up more space. If the top of the bottle was sealed, like you have on a bottle of fizzy juice, okay, what happens is that the pressure builds up inside, and when you open it, all the gas can escape. What we've got here on the top of the balloon is somewhere where that gas can escape into, and it starts inflating the balloon. Okay, so I'll bring it a bit closer. Okay, so you can see, so you can see now that our balloon was completely flat, but is now slightly inflated. Now, the hotter you can make the air, the better. But be careful, okay, because this is glass, and this is why you definitely need an adult here. So this is glass, so if you were to make this really cold very quickly, it could crack, okay? So be really careful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Sophie to fill up our jug of water. Thank you, Sophie. But as you can see, already, actually, since we've taken it off the heat, okay, we can see that the balloon's starting to contract again. Okay, so it's starting to get smaller, because now what's happening is the bottle and the air inside the bottle is much hotter than the air in my kitchen. So the heat from the bottle is now escaping into the air, right? And I think you should be able to see that now that that balloon's got significantly smaller again, and it will continue to get smaller for until basically the air pressure returns to room temperature. So if you're going to do this at home, I would let this bottle sit for at least 4-5 minutes so that the balloon retracts right back down, and you should be able to squeeze it and feel that it's got sort of air pressure. Do you want to give that a gentle squeeze? Thank you, Sophie. Okay, so you can see that the balloon is starting to get smaller and smaller again. So I'm just putting my hands around this to cool it. Please don't do this at home unless you're an adult. Okay, what we're going to do is try and cool that down. What I have got, however, is some iced water. Okay, and hopefully we should be able to get this to below the room temperature. So if we continue to cool this bottle, this balloon will continue to shrink. So what I want to do is just give it a gentle cool, okay? And what we're then going to do is take the same amount of gas that was trapped in our bottle before and actually make it colder than the air around it. And so actually the gas will want to take up less space inside the bottle, okay? So I'm just giving it a little shake. Oops, I'll maybe hold it up so you can see a bit better. Okay. And if we continue to do this and just be gentle, I was making too much noise. It must just be gentle while you're putting it in. Okay. And what we should see is this should cool down much quicker. Okay. And our balloon's now completely collapsing down on itself. Okay. And if you do this and continue to cool, and actually you might be able to see, Sophie, that it's starting to pull the balloon actually inside the bottle. Okay, so there you can see the balloon's actually like you're sucking out of the balloon. Okay, so as it's cooling, the air that's inside the bottle is actually now wanting to take up less spaces inside. So you can give it a little shove. And I wonder if I can show you the camera. So can you see the balloon being pulled inside the bottle? Okay, so you might not be able to see that, but if you can see actually now the balloon is wanting to go inside the bottle. And you can give it a little help, right, because the balloons do stick to themselves. And actually what's happening now is the air is getting so cold inside this bottle that it's the air is shrinking inside and actually starting to pop that balloon back inside. Okay? So I think in the next few weeks we've got another event where we're going to look at a similar setup and other ways that you can inflate and deflate bottles, so how you can inflate balloons on top of bottles. But I think you can kind of clearly see now that this is really cold. You want to feel it?
It's like holding a bag of ice.
Yeah, it's like holding a bag of ice. And you can see really, and actually, if you pull this balloon out now, it's clear that I haven't just shoved the balloon inside, right? Can you pull out the top there? It actually really wants to be inside the bottle. Oh, so have you broken it? You haven't, not really. Okay, so the balloon wants to be inside the bottle because the air inside it's got really small. Now, one of the experiments that we're going to show you as the follow-on for this is a weather collector, right? And what's quite interesting is, when you make you see a weather forecast, you'll see high pressure and low pressure, and it's slightly confusing, but essentially cold air is denser, okay, so denser in the air, and so it sinks low down. Hot air, which is why I have hot air balloons, is lighter and goes to the top. So again, it's all about how much space molecules in a gas take up, okay? So that's the first two simple experiments, and I'm going to leave you with another really easy experiment, okay, but quite fun. But this one we're not going to be able to see live. What we're going to do is we're going to leave it. Fortunately, we're going to use the same apparatus as we've got here. So we've got a bottle with a balloon. This time I'm going to take that balloon off. You can see it's really well stuck on there now. Okay, so we take the balloon off the top. Okay. And I'm going to ask Sophie to do this job, right? And what we're going to do is I have a normal banana here. Actually, the riper the banana, the better. And I'll give Sophie her chopstick, which she's going to use. And what we want to do is we want to put the banana inside the bottle, okay? So we're going to put the banana inside the bottle. by chopping it up, right? So I'm going to do the cutting up. I've just got a small knife here. Right, and Sophie, you can start stuffing the... Oh, do you want me to do it, or are you going to do it? Right, here you go. So keep stuffing, I'll do some, you do some. Okay. Well, all right, I'll do that. You stuff it down with a stick if it gets stuck. Okay. And hopefully, I'm going to need a cloth, I think. Hopefully, by the time we've got all this banana in and it's sealed, oops. Okay, I'm going to have to get a cloth to wipe my fingers. So if he does that. Okay, so now what we've got is a banana, chopped up banana in the bottom of a bottle. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. We're now going to seal, thank you Sophie, we're going to seal our bottle with our balloon. Okay, so and what we're going to do is we're going to leave it. Now ideally you want to leave it somewhere with that's quite warm, so on top of a heater or in a sunny window, okay? And it could take 2, 3 or 4 days, okay? But what's going to happen is, because the banana has got quite a lot of good stuff, and bananas are really good for you. They've got sugars in them, but good fruit sugars. There's carbohydrates, but there's also little bacteria. And one of the reasons bananas are good for you is because the bacteria help your stomach digest its food. But what's going to happen over 2, 3, 4 days is that the bacteria inside the banana are going to start digesting and start eating the banana. When they do that, they produce a gas. And so what is going to actually happen is that we've got a sealed container which has a certain amount of air in it, but the bacteria are going to produce more gas. So instead of having a sealed container and heating it up to make the gas more energetic and move around more, we're actually going to produce gas in this bottle. So over about 2 or 3 days, and don't get bored, right? Leave it somewhere, as I say, quite warm, and over 2 or 3 days the balloon will start to inflate, and during the day when it's warm it might be really quite big, and then it will start shrinking down again. So we'd like to see some pictures around. So if you want to do this experiment at home and leave it, please do, and post the pictures on the Facebook page. But that's a slightly longer term experiment. Okay, so if I'm going to leave that one with you, and I think that's about our time up. So hopefully you might have some idea about gas pressure, air pressure, and how strong it is. Remember our trick with our glass. Okay, so if you want to do it on the top and leave it, okay, hand over, okay. So remember, this is all about, this pressure inside here is the same as outside. So it's much stronger than you think. And we don't really think about it much as we're walking around easily through air, but it's really quite important, and it affects us in our day-to-day life. So thank you very much for tuning into this broadcast. We hope you kind of enjoyed it. I know they're quite simple experiments, but hopefully you'll be able to get on with them nice and easily at home with your family and with your friends. So finally, just remember to follow the Waters on its Facebook page. There'll be future events like this, and tomorrow particularly there's going to be a fun STEM live challenge. So there'll be a video posted for something that you can do at home that will again last 2 or 3 days and keep you busy during this time when many of you certainly are locked at home. So thank you very much. Sophie, say bye.
Bye.
Bye, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks.